Welcome to Industrial Organization and Psychology. And for this lesson, this will be lesson number 8. We're going to talk about the employee selection, evaluating employee performance. Okay, so these are the overview. We're going to determine the training needs. Okay, what are the training that the company needs to provide for their employee? Okay, and conducting classroom training. We're going to talk about what is classroom training, providing individual through distance learning, conducting on-the-job training, ensuring transfer of training, put it all together in evaluation of training results. All right. So for session goals and objectives, you need to know the conduct of training needs analysis, is what I'm saying earlier. Be aware of various training methods, know how to conduct a training program. Okay, so understand the psychological theory behind successful training and be able to evaluate the effectiveness of training program. Okay, for topic 1, we're going to talk about what is designing and evaluating training system. Before we proceed on that, what is now training? We often hear what training is, but do we really know and do we really understand what training is? All right. So, training is systematic acquisition of skills, rules, concept of attitudes that results in improved performance. Okay. So, when we say systematic acquisition of skills, we're going to provide a step-by-step process for that one. Okay. It is a planned effort by an organization to facilitate the training of job-related behavior on the part of its employees. All right. So, after conducting job analysis, all right, it's important because it is difficult to find with necessary knowledge, skills to perform a job. Okay, that's why we are conducting training. And it also, for this, how will we know who are the employees that needs to conduct a training? Okay, after conducting job analysis and performance appraisal, this employee who got lowest, okay, or bumaba ang kanilang performance, skills nila, these are the employee that needs to conduct a training. Okay? And before we conduct a training, we must have to have a needs analysis and what are the company needs. Dapat ma-define natin kung ano ba yung mga needs nito ni company. Okay, if we're conducting a training. So that, specific yung goal natin in regards dun sa mga ibibigay natin kay employee. Okay? So, as what I'm saying earlier, it is a step-by-step process. And, okay, so, hindi ka pwedeng mag-provide ng isang training na hindi mo pinagplanuhan. Okay? Kaya kailangan ng needs analysis para ma-identify and also mabigay natin yung kinakailangan ng company at ng employee. Sometimes initiated by other employee. Okay? What do we mean by that? These are the people who are having a hard time to absorb or to get certain information from the company. Example, sales. Okay? Sometimes an employee initiated what is the proper way or what are the proper ways na kailangan niyang gawin para ma-meet niya yung quota niya for the month. Okay? And if you found out sa needs analysis na kaya bumababa ang performance ni employee is because of the behavior or hindi niya na-meet yung quota is because he or she is lacking of training. Okay? And as usual, training must have a positive change to a company and also to an employee to make their life easy. Okay? Or ma-meet yung goals ni company and also the motivation. Okay? It can be a positive positive change kay employee as well. Okay, so here's our the General benefits of training. Number one, increase job satisfaction and morale of employees. We all know that if we send employee for training, especially if it's during company time, they will feel valued. If they feel valued, it will increase their job satisfaction and morale. Okay? So kailangan ma-feel ni employee na meron siyang promotion in the future doon sa isang organization or sa isang company. Okay? And also, ma-increase yung promotion ng mga retention leaders. Alright? So, number two, increases efficiency in progress resulting in financial gain. What do you mean by that? Sending employees to training which will help them improve their performance in their current job will consequently result in increase in efficiency and then lead to financial gain. Okay, so for that one, makapagbigay ito ng mas accurate, okay, na or makokontrol natin or makikita natin, example is for sales, yung itinaas ng sales ng isang company after conducting a training. Okay? Mas malalaman natin yung or mas makakapag-solve tayo ng problem, okay? Para mapataas ang income or gross ng isang company for provide a proper training sa employee. Alright? So, number three, increase capacity to adopt new technologies and methods. Okay, so whenever there is a system or a new system, equipment, or process, always train the user to help them adopt. Okay? Example would be the implementation of new payroll system. Alright? So, kunyari, may bagong system na provide si company na na kailangan gawin employee. Halimbawa sa HR, if you are assigned for payroll and you will be needing na kailangan ng gantong system for them to be able to mas mapadali ang pagkukompute nila ng salary ng isang employee. Okay? So, kailangan nila mag-adapt dun sa bagong technologies. Okay? And mas natutulungan na ito si employee para hindi magkamal and mapa-easy yung task niya na ginagawa. The task na ginagawa niya mas mapadali. Alright? Number 4, it increases innovation in strategies and the products. Meaning, whenever there's an, example for this one is, mas if you are be in sales, okay, mas matutugunan mo yung anong proper way of technique na mabibigyan natin kay employee para mas maging productive siya. Alright? Mas maging ma-meet niya yung goals niya. Okay? Mas makabenta siya ng maayos kung sales ang pinag-uusapan. And also, reduce employee turnover. If the employee is guided by their supervisor, okay, na kunyari, nahihirapan siya sa ganitong task, hindi niya na-meet yung goals, such as salesman, okay, and that is the only thing na kailangan niya to meet the quota, and if the employee doesn't meet his or her goal for a month, example, at hindi niya to na-meet, okay, sometimes it can give the employees burnout, or worst scenario, it leads to turnover. Okay, so for them to be able to retain, we must have conduct training para mas umayos or para mas maging ma-meet ng employee ang kanyang quota for the month. Number 6, enhance company image. So for that, a company will be perceived as a good employer if they treat their employees well. Okay? So this includes an individual development program for each employees. Example would be, alam natin, okay, na kailangan may innovation sa isang company. Okay? Kailangan hindi ma-burnout si employee. Okay? So what we're going to do is to send employee abroad. Okay? And for that one, ma-experience niya yung mga ganang bagay. Kaya, if we provide training, mas masasabi ng employee sa kanya sarili that they are valuable enough if we do that one. And then, sa ibang bansa siya nag-training, and that's a great experience for them also. And it enhances the company image. Okay? Number 7, risk management. Sexual harassment training, diversity training, and etc. Alright? Okay, para ma-prevent natin yung mga sexual harassment cases and labor cases, kailangan natin mag-conduct ng training sa employee. Example would be the proper behavior of a supervisor and an employee itself. Okay, so we discussed the Kid Pro Q sa last lesson. If the supervisor is aware, may iiwasan natin yung mga ganung bagay. Not only for that one, but also as an HR. Also, if the HR has enough knowledge, okay? So, mas malalaman niya kung how to solve yung mga future na magiging problem ng isang company. Okay? Or maiiwasan niya if they have proper training as well. Okay? So, we have 4 roles of paano ba maging effective na trainer. Okay? Number one of the roles of a trainer would be strategic thinking. Okay? So, what does it mean? It formulates training strategy that support organization philosophies. Okay? And the trainer is the one who formulates training strategies that support organizational philosophy. Training plan must be aligned to vision, mission, goals, and strategies. Okay? So, kailangan, if you will be a good trainer, dapat in line sa goals, mission, vision, and other things, such as strategy, ang kailangan na meron or napopossess ng isang trainer. Okay? Kailangan niya ng strategic thinker. Okay? Alright? Kasi hindi basta-basta magbibigay ka lang ng training. Dapat alam mo kung ano yung goal that needs to met ng isang company. Okay? Or ng isang training program. Number 2, diagnostic or planner. Identify training needs. Plan and organize training. Okay? So, as what I was saying earlier, kailangan natin ng needs analysis. Okay? Para maibigay natin yung proper training that we need ng company and also ng employee. Okay? Dapat that is well identified and also well organized. Okay? So, they're the one who identifies training needs, plan, and organize training. Okay? So, kailangan din mas qualities or the role ng trainer is mas maayos. Okay? Mas maayos kung may planner or specific goals na kailangan na maibigay kay employee. Number 3, implementer. Design, deliver, and administer training. There are possible for design, sometimes delivery and training administration. Okay, so number third will be it must have or good implementers. So syempre, if you will be a trainer, you you yourself must be a good influence or implementer. Okay? Kung paano ginagawa yung isang bagay na to. Mahirap naman kung ikaw yung nag-train sa employee and then you doesn't know or you don't know rather the proper way how to conduct or how to administer such thing ng isang gagawin if wala kang um, good or hindi mo napopossess yung pagiging good implementer. Okay? Number 4 would be evaluator. So, siyempre, since that you will be you are the trainer, so kailangan mo din na bihasa, okay, sa isang bagay, sa pinapagawa mo kay employee. So, evaluate results of the training program and kailangan alam mo kung paano i-evaluate ang isang task na ipinagawa na mo during the training. And also, it is very important that they evaluate results for the training program. Okay? So, evaluate ka din ni employee. Okay? If you are a good evaluator or the training has been successful or no, so that you yourself can be able to provide the effective ways for you to train or what are the keys that needs to be improved or if there is. Okay? So, all right. And now we have determining training needs. Okay? So, for this determining training needs, we have training needs analysis. Okay? It is the first step to developing an employee training system. As what I was saying earlier, after conducting a needs analysis sa job analysis, we need to identify ano ba yung kinakailangan ng employee. Okay? And also, kailangan din ni company. Okay? The process of determining the needs of an organization also. Okay? And its purpose is to determine types of training, if any, that are needed in an organization as well the extent to which training is practical means of achieving an organization goal. Okay, so kailangan ma-meet ng training na ikakonduct mo ang goals that you will need to have or ng isang company. Okay? And for this one, we have here flowchart. Okay? First, the organization analysis, we need to identify or it must be established. Okay? The goals and objectives of that organization, the economic analysis as well, and person analysis and planning. Okay, so we already talked about that one sa previous lesson. Climate and attitude survey and resource analysis. Okay, so on task analysis, we need to have task inventories. Okay, intervention if there is the performance appraisal. Okay, so observation and job description. So these are the factors that needs. And also person analysis. We have performance appraisal, surveys, interview, skill and knowledgeable testing, and critical incidents if there is. Okay, so if we conduct or if we have this kind of things or like that flowchart, if we have that information, well, we can conduct na ano ang mga kinakailangan ng isang training. It must be one of the factor na nandiyan dyan, and it's step by step. Okay? So, now, you're going to move to organizational analysis. Okay? So, as what I am saying earlier, it is the process of determining the organizational factors and also that will either facilitate or inhibit training effectiveness. Okay, what are these? Okay, so it is a properly conducted organization analysis will focus on the goals and the organization wants to achieve. Ano ba yung gusto nating ma-achieve? Para din sa isang training program that we need to be conduct. Okay, the organization ability to conduct. Do we have enough money para dyan? Okay, so syempre in training, it must have enough money for you to be able to provide a proper training. Meron ba nakalaan sa isang company? Okay, so we need to have organization analysis para maibigay yung proper training or ma-identify natin if how much is the budget that the company has. Okay? So, if we identify that one, we may provide, okay, the proper training. Baka kasi walang enough budget si company to conduct a training. So, we need also to identify the extent to which employees are willing to be trained. Are they willing to be trained? Okay, so even though you have a money or the company has a budget to conduct a training, we need to consider also are the employees needs or willing sila mabago yung isang or may bago or kailangan nilang makakuha ng isang training. Baka kasi hindi. And what are the things na kailangan na para ma-provide natin yung proper needs na ito to employee. Okay? So, we need to identify that during performance appraisal, and then we talk about also kung paano nila mas ma-meet yung goals ng isang company if they are in sales. Okay? So, all the things will be a factor of organization analysis. Alright? Next would be task analysis. Okay? Its purpose is to identify the task performed by each employee. Okay? So, the conditions under which these tasks are performed and the KSA needed to perform the task under identified conditions. Okay? So, for task analysis, it needs to be specific. What are the things na kailangan ng employee na i-perform or gawin? Hindi mo ka pwedeng mag-conduct or mag-provide ng isang training sa isang employee kung hindi specific, hindi or masyadong malawak yung ibibigay mong training para kay employee. Okay? Or hindi in line sa task na kailangan nilang gawin. Halimbawa, you are conducting a training for an admin post for how to fix computer. Okay? Something like that. Okay? Or hindi in line doon sa natapos nila yung ibibigay mong training. Okay? So, we need to identify also the capacity of that employee as well. For them to be able to know kung kaya ba ng employee na gawin ang training na gusto natin i-provide sa kanila. Alright. And next would be person analysis. Based on the recognition that not every employee needs further training for every task performed, we need also to identify not all the employees needs to have a training. Halimbawa, si employee ay marunong na dun sa isang bagay na yon. Okay? Kailangan pa ba natin siyang i-provide ng training halimbawa sa sales? If he or she meets her quota, okay, for a month, or mataas yung kanyang benta, kailangan pa ba niya makapag um, receive ng isang training? So we need to identify or we need to have that person analysis also. Next is to determine the individual training needs for each employee, is what I was saying earlier. Person analysis uses using performance appraisal scores, surveys, interview kits, and knowledge tests, and or critical incident. Okay, so halimbawa, let's move to critical incident na in a sense that merong improper behavior sa isang supervisor. Okay, so sa supervisor, meron siya anger management. Okay, hindi niyo makontrol yun if he or she is a supervisor or needs niya mag-deal sa ganung bagay and it led sa critical incidents or someone or somebody reported him or her. Okay? So, identify, kaya siya nasama dyan is the supervisor needs a training also. Okay, that is in line to person analysis, to person analysis as well. It is not easy to every employee to have a training. Okay? Okay? It should also include an evaluation of employees, what I was saying earlier, sa readiness. Ready na ba si employee to have that kind of training? Okay? And dun sa performance score niya na nakuha, we can identify if that employee needs to have training. Right? So, for next one would be ano ba ang outcomes of training needs analysis? So, we have that we already know that training needs analysis is the first step of an employee in of a training system. Okay? So, we identified that one already. Okay? So, non-training need reveals a gap. However, this gap cannot be filled or fixed with training. It encompasses workflow, recruitment, or job design. Employees know how to do job, but something else affects their performance. Okay, so for this, okay, so halimbawa, non-training needs. They already know yung job, pero may nakaka-affect pa rin doon sa performance nila. Halimbawa, sa isang company, meron tayong tinatawag na 5S. Okay, so yung 5S na yun is in line na kung saan rules na kung saan tinitingnan yung if you are organized sa isang department. Okay, parang inline siya sa occupational safety and health policy ng isang organization. So, employee already know the things na kailangan maayos, malinis yung table nila, but something else affects their performance is the 5S, meaning to say they are too much aware. Not too much aware, but they are always anxious or not an anxious but disturbed or upset kapag alam nilang may nag-observe sa kanila. Okay, so those are things na in line sa non-training need. Number 2 is training need reveals performance gap, and the gap can be filled with training. It exists when the employee does not know how to do the job. It is lack of knowledge, skills, and attitude. Okay? Alright. So, purpose of training plan is to seek the approval from the top management. Okay? So, para makita natin yung ano yung mga needs ng company. Okay? Kaya natin kailangan mag-conduct ng isang training dahil para matugunan yung mga gaps or lapses ng isang employee. Okay, so repeat natin. Sa non-training needs ay alam na natin or na-identify natin that the certain employee already know the information, okay, na meron sila dun sa company. Okay, however, yung mga factor ay nakaka-apekto kung bakit hindi sila nagpa-perform na maayos. Halimbawa, ay may ikakandak na ISO program. Okay? So, na kailangan mas neat kasi there are observant. Okay? Kailangan mas maayos yung mga bagay sa isang table. Okay? Kung 5S man yan, dapat mas maayos, walang kalat. Though, already known na employee yung mga ganon. Okay? And doesn't need to have training. Number 2 is to training need is yung ma-fill natin yung gap na kailangan na or lapses na kailangan ng certain employee. Okay? So, that will be the 2 outcome needs analysis. The training program design. Okay, so the training program design must have, number 1, establish goals and objectives. Okay, motivating employees and choosing the best training method. Okay, for establish goals and methods. All right, training goals and objectives should concretely state the following. Number 1, what learners are expected to do. Okay? So, identify natin yan. So, mga goals na, ano ba ang kailangan na magawa ng employee? Okay? Or expected that is in line sa company mission, vision nila, and goals. Okay? Number 2, the condition in which they are expected to do. Okay? And number 3, the level of which they are expected to do it. Okay? These factors are and methods. We need this to be established. Okay? Para mas maayos ang maging outcome ng isang training program. Okay? Number 2 is to motivating employees. Motivating employees to attend training. Okay? So, we all know that not all the employee are willing, okay, to attend training. However, we need to motivate them and we need to be specific in regards sa mga program that they will be gaining when attending a training. Next bullet, motivating employees to perform well in training. Okay, so they must be indulged or they must be attached or kailangan mas may indulgement doon sa ginagawa while in training. Hindi pwede na nakaupo ka lang and then nakikinig. Okay, something like that. However, may interaction dapat. Next bullet would be motivating employees to use their training on the job. Okay, as what I was saying earlier. Okay, motivate natin si employees na hindi lang basta training yon. They need to do the certain tasks that they acquired dun sa isang training program. Okay, so once we do that, once we motivate that, mas may apply nila na maayos yung training that they acquired doon sa training na kinandak. Number 3, choosing the best training method. Okay, so number 1, we have classroom training. In classroom training, ito yung nandoon sila sa isang room wherein kinakandaking training. Okay, the advantage of this, it's saves time because you train employees all the same time. Okay, so no need to explain for that. Number 2, This disadvantage is all employees must be taught at the same pace. Okay? So, halimbawa, in a sense na advantage ng training program is nandoon sila sa iisang lugar. Okay? So, all the information may bibigay mo na maayos or ma maipalalawig mo sa kanila. Okay? In Tagalog. Okay? Or mas in information ng isa ay information din ng lahat since that they are in with the same training classroom. Okay? However, the disadvantage is all employees must be taught at the same pace. So, meaning to say, iisa-isahin. Okay? Yung pagtuturo or maaring not all of them are caught the attention of the trainer. Okay? That will be the disadvantage. Next is using case study to apply knowledge. Okay. For this using case study to apply knowledge, it's considered to be good sources of developing analysis and synthesis and evaluation skills. With this method, the members of the small group each read a case, which is either real or hypothetical situation typically of those encountered on the job. Okay? So, it could be na we have earlier na it could be na there is a certain scenario na maibibigay natin kay employee and maa-adapt nila. Okay? Or it could be na bibigay ka ng system scenario and then ito yung maaaring ma-encounter nyo what you will do. Okay? If you will be in the position of this. Okay? And analyze that kind of case study as well. Next is using simulation exercises to practice new skills. Allow the trainee to practice newly learned skills. It offers the advantage of allowing the trainee to work with equipment under actual working condition without the consequences of mistakes. Okay? Next is role play. To practice interpersonal skills allows the trainee to perform necessary interpersonal skills by acting out simulated roles. Alright? Next would be behavior modeling. Okay? To increase the interpersonal skills, similar to role play, except that trainees role play ideal behavior rather than the behavior they might normally perform. Okay? And we have lecture. Good training source if the goal is for the employees to obtain knowledge, but unless they are accompanied by simulation and role plays, they are not usually effective at teaching skills. Okay? So, kailangan kasi when in a teacher, alright, so it's not always not a teacher, but kailangan kasi qualities of teaching skills is different for this. Okay, it's not you will be possessing with several factors. Okay, but still, if you have question, you may ask during synchronous. 2, distance learning. Alright, so we have that program instruction using books, videos, interactive videos. Okay, so now pandemic, these are the modes that we usually do. Okay, how can we provide training to an employee even though that we are far from each other? It can be provide books, or we allow them to watch video, or also interactive videos. Okay, computer-based program instruction also will be given, and web-based program instruction will be given as well. Okay, it has an advantage. Allow employees to learn at their own pace at the place where they are in, and mas convenient sa kanila kasi there is no specific time that kailangan nila panoorin. Okay? Disadvantage is increased working hours for employees who are already overworked and family demands um, as what happening right now. The disadvantage is na overwork yung isang empleyado or maybe a student as well. Okay? And yung demands that they need to fulfill if they are have responsibility sa isang bahay, hindi niyo magagawa na maayos or needs to have or set priorities or must have a specific or good time management technique for that one. Okay? To be fulfilled. Okay, next is on-the-job training. Letter A, learning by modeling others. Also could as social learning. Modeling is a vitally important method of learning for training in organization. As the name implies, employees learn by watching how other employees perform or model a behavior. We tend to model behavior people who are similar to us, who are successful, and who have status. Okay? So, right? Letter B would be job rotation. A job rotation, employee performs several different jobs within an organization. Popular managerial training as it allows a manager or trainee to experience and understand most, if not all, of the jobs within the organization that his subordinates will perform. Okay? Next would be learning through apprentice training. Apprentice training or apprenticeship is a good for both apprentice and the organization. Apprentice learns a valuable trade, the organization gets inexpensive labor. Okay? And letter D, we have here learning through coaching and mentoring. Okay? Coaches takes two forms. Experienced employees working with new employees and professional coaches who work with all employees. Okay? Mentoring is another form of coaching. A mentor is a veteran in the organization who takes a place, interest in a new employee and helps him not only to adjust to the job but also to advance in the organization. Typically, mentors are older and at least one level or position above the employees being monitored. Okay, if you still have questions, you may ask me during synchronous for the other information that you don't understand. Alright, so next would be we have training implementation. Okay, for training implementation, how do we provide or how do we implement some training? How will we know if a training program that we are giving the employee is uh, okay or it's effective? And how do we administer training? Is to conduct a research, all right? Or how do we score them? Okay, we have here research design. One is the pre-test, post-test design. Okay, pre-test, after having a pre-test, you will get to know what are the knowledge or skills that the employees already have. Okay, and if you conduct a training, if you apply the training, what would be the post-test? Or does it become effective to them? Or mas naging maayos ba yung gawa nila? Okay? Example would be sa pre-test natin, sales. If the employee only has a quota, example, na 100,000 per month, kailangan makabenta siya ng isang item. And then, hindi niya namimit yun. Halimbawa, na gagawa nila is 17. After conducting a training, um, we need to test also if that certain sales technique that you given to the employee or that you conducted is effective by using or by analyzing how much training ang improve sa kanya or how much yung mas nabenta niya pa. Does the training become effective after conducting does the employee performance became effective rather after conducting a training? Okay, that is a research number 1. We have here research number 2, or we have your experimental and control group. However, for the predisposed test kasi kanina design, let's go back. Alright, so for that one, there is a positive and negative effect of that research design. So, positive is madali lang siya i-conduct. Okay, kukunin mo lang yung pretest niya. Okay, halimbawa the sales. And then, you provided a training or sale strategy. Okay, or technique para makabenta sa employee. And then, you will get the post-test. It's very simple. However, it has disadvantage. Findings are difficult to interpret because there is no control group against which the results can be compared. Without a control group, the interpretation is not necessarily correct. Meaning, we only have one way lang dito. Okay? Thus, the performance of the employee in regards dun sa sale ay nag-improve ba talaga? It's because of training? Or nag-improve siya dahil dun sa pinagawa mo or or nagkaroon kasi ng 3-day sale halimbawa sa isang mall, si employee isang salesman doon, okay, nagbebenta siya ng cellphone, okay, at nag-conduct ka or nag-post test ka after ng 3-day sale. So does the training na in-apply mo is working or effective, or is it because kaya naging ganun ang performance ni employee is because 3-day sale. Okay? So, or naman, halimbawa, ay payday ng isang karamihan ng mga tao. Halimbawa, 15th of the month or 30th of the month. Okay? So, dahil sa wala tayong control group, hindi natin ma-identify if the training is effective. Okay? So, kaya, we need to have, for this one, the experimental group. Okay? So, sa research design number 2 is it's experimental design. Okay? We have pretest, we have 2 groups. We have, both of them will be having pretest. Then, only one group will be in charge to conduct or to receive a training. And then, for us to identify kung may pinagbago ba doon, we need to have a post-test and we compare yung experimental group, which is yung may training, at yung walang training na control group natin. Okay? So for that, the advantage would be it allows the researcher to look at the training effect after controlling for outside factors. Okay? Also, employees in the control group may resent not being chosen for training. This resentment alone may lead to decrease in performance of employees in the control group. Okay? And so, disadvantage for this is, except for training manipulation, it is almost impossible to treat control group at the same as the experimental group. Okay? The possibility that it's because the two groups are close to one another, the training effect of the experiment group will spill over to the control group. Okay? It is also possible that the untrained employees will pressure the newly trained employees to revert the old way of doing things. Okay, so that is the disadvantage of experimental design or the research design too. Third design, we have Solomon 4 group design. So as what Solomon 4, we have here four groups that we need to be compared. Okay? So first group would be wala kang pretest. You will be having a training and then post-test. Okay? Second group, meron kang pretest, training, and then post-test. And then third group mo, the employees will be given pretest, no training at all, and then post-test. And for group 4 is post-test lang ang kinundak. Okay? Um, it allows the researcher not only to control for outside effect, okay, but also control for any pretest effect. Okay, so that is the advantage. Also, the advantage is most scientifically rigorous of the research design. Okay, negative or the disadvantage would be not practical because a large number of employees must be available and kept from discussing the training with one another. Okay, and the last research, that is the last research design for training evaluation. Okay, so next is what are the criteria that we need to have for evaluation? Number one, the content validity. Okay, compare training content through or with knowledge, skills, and appraisal required to perform a job. Okay, does the training that you conducted has is in line for knowledge, skills, and other factors? Okay, or baka naman hindi siya in line doon. Okay, how are we going to evaluate dyan is to look for the content validity. Number two is to employee reaction. Ask if the employee enjoyed and learned from the training, influenced by the trainer's style and degree of interaction in the training. Okay? Next is employee learning. Okay? So for the employee learning, how would we know if the certain training is effective is to test them. Okay, is to administer a test kung effective ba yung training na yun. Okay? Next is application of training. Degree of training application for or degree of employee actually used learning on a job. Okay? So, after conducting a training, mas gagawa niya ba to dun sa kanyang workplace? Okay, mas na-apply niya ba? Next would be business impact. For this one, has there been a positive change or improvement in the business after conducting a training? You need to ask or we need to look for that one as well. And next or the last one is return on investments. So, we know that if we conduct a training, lalo na kung outside yung trainer natin na kumuha tayo is naibalik ba neto ang nigastos natin? Okay? Yeah, accounting for the cost of training. Okay? Or halimbawa naman is if you conduct a training na may something ka or it's quite niche machine that you administered or bagong software or bagong tools na binigay mo kay employee, mas naging productive ba siya? Okay? Halimbawa, balik tayo sa example natin about sa payroll system. May bagong payroll system na provide ka kay employee. So, after providing that payroll system, the return of investment would be mas madadali at mas mapapabilis yung trabaho neto ni employee. So, if that is the case or mas maging accurate, okay, if that is the case, na ibalik ba yung investment or is there something na, na in return na nakuha ng isang company doon? And we need to evaluate that one as well. Alright, so if you still have a question, you may still ask me during synchronous. And that will be the end of lesson number 8. Thank you for listening and hope you have a great day.